Welcome to the Big Data Management Overview Reusing PowerCenter Applications. In this video, we will demonstrate how easy it is to take existing PowerCenter applications and mappings and redeploy them into the big data world. The PowerCenter Reuse report helps you understand the existing PowerCenter mappings and their ability to reuse them in the new next generation big data workloads. And we will see that how most of these mappings can be translated with a few simple clicks and be reused in the big data world. Let's get to a quick demo, and before we go into a demo, I'll quickly show you what the report tries to identify and how you can use that information to understand the reusability of the existing mappings. The report identifies and categorizes the mappings into 4 different categories. One is the Hadoop environment ready, and any mapping that is categorized as the Hadoop environment ready is basically you can take that mapping as is, put them into the big data space or big data management product, and then run them on the Hadoop environment. Now there will be another set of mappings which are Informatica native environment ready but not Hadoop environment ready, which means Hadoop still doesn't have some of those technologies or some of the functionality that Informatica offers yet, because of which we can run it in the native environment but not in a Hadoop environment as is. Of course, you can redesign the parts of the mapping that are not compatible with Hadoop, and then you can always make this mapping also Hadoop environment ready. The third set of mappings are basically requires changes, which means these are the mappings that we'll be able to bring from PowerCenter into the big data management product, but you will still require changes because the big data management is a very next generation use case product, and these mappings need to be modified to be able to work and run on those next generation platforms. And some mappings that are probably already invalid in PC, you would ideally see these mappings only if you're running the report against a non-production environment. Let's get to a quick demo. So I have an existing bunch of PowerCenter mappings in a repository within the samples folder. So you can see I have created one sample mapping called as mapping all transactions. Here I try to put all DA transformations here, including the lookups, sorters, joiners, and so on and so forth. Now I'm going to take these mappings and import them into the big data management product after running the report and understanding the report. So let me quickly jump to a console, and I'm already inside the Informatica's home directory, as you can see, and here all I'm doing is just running a command called infacmd generate reuse report from PowerCenter, and then I'm just providing the login details. I'm using very basic details over here. You can obviously automate it, and then you can also have your password protected using the PM password utility and use the environment variables just like you would do in PowerCenter, as well as big data management production environments. So I'll just go hit enter, and then the report starts executing. The report is basically analyzing all the mappings that I have in this particular folder and then kind of assess them against the 4 categories that I have shown before. Alright, so the execution has started, and now let me quickly jump to the report that is generated. So this report has a couple of sheets. It's an Excel sheet and it has a couple of sheets inside it. And the most important one is the raw data, where it is basically giving you the detailed information of every single mapping and one of the 4 categories that it falls into and subsequent details. So if I go into the overall status, you can see here that in the samples folder, the entire folder that I have executed, there are about 23 mappings, of which 17 mappings are Hadoop environment ready, 4 of them are Informatica native environment only, and 2 of them require changes. So you can obviously always, once you import them, you can obviously always modify these mappings and make them all Hadoop environment ready by rewriting parts of this logic that will be applicable and more optimal for the new Hadoop type of generation use cases. In the gap analysis, you can see the errors by which the mappings are grouped together. And the errors here primarily mean that this functionality doesn't exist in Hadoop, so you will have to redesign those parts of the mappings to be able to have these mappings executed in the Hadoop environment world. And then we also provide an analysis by the mapping, so that if you have large mappings with hundreds of transformations inside them, you can see how much of those mappings are being reused and what is the overall contribution of those mappings into the entire PC reuse application. Alright, now that we have looked at this report, let's go into the big data management product itself, and you can see the report here successfully completed. Now, in the big data management product, we have an import functionality from where you can actually import the mappings directly from PowerCenter. And when you go to the next screen, it will ask you for a basic connectivity details, like what is your PowerCenter repository. We support various versions of PowerCenter repositories, some basic username, password details, and then as soon as you click next, it's going to prompt you for whichever mappings and objects you want to import, and then you click finish, your mappings will be imported in the BDM product. Now here what you're seeing is basically a copy of this mapping in PowerCenter, and you can see that it's extremely similar. We carry forward the same design principles and philosophies in terms of mappings, objects, reusability, and so on. So we have imported this mapping called as all transformations, which has every single code DA transformation inside it, and we were able to kind of import it directly from the developer tool itself, which is the heart of the big data management product. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to right click and validate this mapping, and you'll see that there are no problems found. But when I go over here in the properties and runtime, this mapping is currently configured to run in the native mode. Now I want to go and execute this mapping in a Hadoop environment world. So let's say I will go and select the Hadoop execution mode, of which I'm choosing our proprietary Blaze execution mode. You can choose any execution mode of your choice. For a sample and demonstration purposes, I'm going with Blaze here. And I'm going to set the execution environment to Hadoop, and then I will provide a Hadoop connection so that the Informatica knows which Hadoop cluster it needs to connect to, and then go and execute this mapping. Now that I have done this, that's pretty much all you will need to make a mapping from a native mode to a Hadoop mode. But let's try to validate and see if this mapping is really valid. You will see that it is actually invalid, and if I go further down into the details, it will actually tell me that there is a update strategy that I'm using in front of a flat file to basically split it in the PowerCenter world. But in Hadoop world, the files are already by default splitted in the HDFS, so we don't need that anymore. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically take out this flat file target that I have, and I'm going to introduce a Hive target. So I will just drag in the Hive distributed table that I have, and then I do want to keep my inserts and updates applied on against this table, so I'm going to kind of keep the update strategy. I'll just link the update strategy to the Hive target to make my mapping valid. And now that's pretty much it. So with that, we'll go and validate valid, no problems found. So this mapping is now Hadoop environment ready. As a summary, we learned that we can reuse existing PowerCenter applications and mappings for the big data workloads. We have seen how to generate a report ahead of a time to assess the effort in moving to a big data world from a traditional data integration / data warehousing world. And finally, we have also seen how easy it is to use the Informatica BDM's import utility and bring PowerCenter mappings into the Informatica Big Data Management and make them Hadoop environment ready. Thank you.